Welcome back, True Seeker. It is Sunday, July 20th, 2025. It's the 201st day of the year. Sweet girl was posing with the watermelons today. CNN today says it's the summer of flooding in the U.S., and scientists know why. Well, today it's the summer of flooding in Asia. South Korea, deadly flooding. Same with China, Vietnam, and the Philippines. All today, Asian nations getting smashed with storms, rainfall, typhoons. And again, even though this isn't the United States, these insurance companies are looking at the same thing across the world and saying, yeah, we got to continue to raise rates because there's just more claims are coming. And it all ties in with, what happened shortly after Event 201, where Klaus Schwab said by 2030 you'll own nothing and be happy. Again, the price of everything, the cost of living has, in a lot of regards, doubled for so many things since then, since those remarks were made not even that long ago. But let's go through all of this. And in light of the first flooding story being out of South Korea, of course, they just released the finale to Squid Game, which is set in South Korea. And if you've never seen Squid Game, it begins with a big old 201. Again, here we are on the 201st day of the year. Deadly flooding in Korea. Seoul, the capital, is getting absolutely smashed today. But if you've never seen Squid Game, there's a big 201 right in the beginning of the show. Sort of a spoiler, but these people are picked for this game. They're people who are targeted by an elite who have information about apparently the populace, and they know who's in financial trouble, and they go out and they seek these people and they lure them into a game. They tell them there's a huge financial prize they can win. It can solve their financial problems. Do you want to play? These are like, yeah, definitely, I'm in. Playing kids games to win all that money, I'm in. But the one thing about the kids games that they don't know, the detail that's left out, is that if you lose at the kids game, you're killed. You die. And again, when you're watching this for the first time, you don't know that as the viewer either until the first game is played. It starts with 456 contestants, and after game one, it's narrowed down to 201. So over half of the people are killed. And when it shows how many people are killed, it zeroes in on the 201 remaining. And keep in mind, when Squid Game first came out, it wasn't all that long. It came out in the time of the lockdowns and people being at home and watching more Netflix than ever. But it wasn't that long after Event 201, the pandemic simulation. And just if you've never seen the show, or if you have, by the way, when they auditioned for this real life Squid Game, that hype began on the first of the last 201 days left of the year. They did a real life Squid Game. Of course, people didn't die, but similar type of competition. If you've seen the show, 456 is the main player. And the 456 and the 201, they go back to the founder of the Jesuits, Ignatius of Loyola. The character who plays 456, his name in the show also has a gematria value of 456. Kind of his arch nemesis in that first season is number 218. And by the way, if you've never seen Squid Game, through every season, they give you this graphic. I mean, look at that graphic. Do you see the 74 right in there? It's kind of like how Event 201 was on the day leaving 74 days left in the year. Of course, killing equals 74 in Gematria, this very fateful number. Every year, the 4th of July comes around 7-4. A lot of deadly rituals. But yeah, just another classic example of 74 and killing as well. But coming back to it being the 201st day of the year, South Korea getting smashed with the flooding. And I don't know how to say this brand. It's Korean food. The Lakers are wearing their brand on the uniform. If you go to Costco, the frozen section's all full of their products. It wasn't that long ago that nobody had ever even heard of this brand, but now it's just everywhere in America. And I'm not going to lie, that for frozen food products, their food tastes as good as going out to a restaurant to me. Sweet Lady actually loves their stuff, but this Korean brand that's all over our supermarkets now, Bibijo, or however you say it, knows that if you're going into the grocery store, you should see it. It's got the Squid Game advertising all over it right now. I'm telling you, go to your local Kroger or whatever, Costco, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, this happens today, and we're going to get to CNN's article about how they got it all figured out, how it's all climate change. And again, it's what we've been saying forever. Is it really climate change, or is it weather control like JFK talked about way back in 1961 and Lyndon Johnson in 62? South Korea, it's gematria. It has that same gematria value as climate change. South Korea has that 56 in it. Climate change has that 56 in it. July 4th this year. It's been flash flooding across the nation since the 4th of July. But 4th of July this year had 56 date numerology, and it all started in that town named after James Kerr. So, yeah, on the 201st day. And don't forget, after Event 201, the first case of cooties in the world was 56 days later initially. I believe it was December 12th, if I'm not mistaken, a span of 56 days from the Event 201 simulation on October 18th. I know that they eventually revised the date and said it was November 17th, but initially it was either 56 days after, which would have been December 13th, or a span of 56 days. It was one of the two. The early reporting on the flooding in Korea, at least 14 people have died in floods and landslides caused by days of torrential rain in South Korea, the country's disaster management office has said. There are fears the death toll could rise as emergency rescue efforts continue, with 12 people reported missing. Footage showed people wading through thick mud in the landslide-hit resort town of Gapyeong on Sunday. That's today, July 20th, the 201st day, as they made their way across a damaged bridge to evacuation shelters. The rain did start earlier this week. It's been raining throughout the week. Remember, Genesis 7 is all about the flood. Again, South Korea, China, Vietnam, Philippines, all getting smashed with flooding today. Not only is it the 201st day of the year, it's a date with 52 numerology, July 20th, 25. 7 plus 20 plus 25, 52. Again, if you're new here, the 4 base ciphers of the English language, alphabetic order with numerology, reverse alphabetic order with numerology. You can see the values of flood, earth, and Enlil. It's funny that both fire and flood equal 25, and they've both been really bad this year. And we talked about this at the start of the year. Themes that could be in the year. It could be a really bad year of fires and flooding. It absolutely has been. Again, learning gematria. Again, it's not an exact science, but I'd say it's more useful than most things you can learn in science, because you can really see through what's being orchestrated in this world that does not seem natural on the daily. Rig weather, rig markets, rig news, rig sports. Anyway, again, Enlil's the Babylonian god of flooding. All of this Kabbalistic letters and numbers stuff goes back to Babylon. Genesis, the flood, Babylon, it's all in the beginning. But yeah, Genesis 8:3 is also where the biblical flood ends. And I noticed the last time they're calling this Typhoon Wifa that's hitting China, Vietnam, and Philippines. Wifa. The last time there was a Typhoon Wifa was 12 years ago, and it formed on October 9th, the day leaving 83 days left in the year. And recall last year, Milton, which also equals 83, did its damage October 9th, the day leaving 83 days left in the year, ripping the top off Tropicana Field, which equals 83, and the same day that Tropicana, the hotel, was demolished in Vegas. And the year that Tropicana Orange Juice was established was the year of the military's first hurricane experiment, and that was in Bradenton, and they had Anderson Cooper on the set of Bradenton, Florida all day. At least that's what it said on the screen, but was he really in a CNN news studio with a green screen? It did look that way, because he got hit with a piece of debris that looked like a giant piece of styrofoam, and he didn't even flinch. It's like, okay, you're in a major windstorm and just got smacked with debris, and you're a little tiny guy like Anderson Cooper. For anyone who's never seen Anderson Cooper in the flesh, he's a little tiny guy. He's probably, I don't know, he's probably like 5'5". Looks like he would blow away in the wind. I got to see him in person back when I was at Arizona State, when the presidential debates were there between Bush and Kerry. Anyway, yeah, so 52 date numerology, 201st day of the year, big weather control numbers. This article from CNN, I didn't realize that Kansas City flash flood on Thursday. We're going to look at that too. That was what we've covered, all the flash flooding in the U.S. I missed the Kansas City flash flooding on July 17th or 17/7, another one of the big Jesuit weather control numbers. Remember, Klaus Schwab equals 177. He put on the Event 201 simulation. He's the Jesuit who led the World Economic Forum but retired the day the first Jesuit Pope died. Again, his full name, Klaus Martin Schwab, equals 111, like Jorge Mario Bergoglio equals 111. That's the Pope's name, dead on the 111th day of the year. Same day Schwab retires. A reminder, the Jesuits gave us the calendar and the languages we know it and do sync up these rituals. If you're new here, the first act of weather warfare ever admitted to was in the year 52 on the date August 15th, which is the Jesuit order's birthday. So that's why I always make this Jesuit mention. And as for the typhoon that's smashing Asia today on the 201st day of the year, 201's the 154th composite number, and the name of the typhoon equals 154. I mean, go figure. It's just like Pope Francis. He was born on Saturnalia. Saturnalia equals 154. Don't forget they buried him on the 116th day of the year this year, April 26th, which was a Saturday. Saturnalia is the day to celebrate Saturn, which Saturday is named after. But Pope Francis, his birth name, it is 111, like I just mentioned. It's also 201. First Jesuit Pope, first to live in Suite 201. Dead 201 days from St. Francis Assisi's death anniversary, who he was named after. But yeah, I'm making the point about 201 and 154. And don't forget that Saturn worship's also 201, and sacrifice to Saturn's 201, and Saturnian order's 201. And it's also 177 and 69 and 93. Saturn's 93. But the 177, 69, 201 are just like the Jesuit order. So, go figure. The first Jesuit Pope, the first to live in Suite 201 with the Saturnalia birthday. I'm just drawing the comparison, though, here between 154 and 201. And they said they had to evacuate 440,000 people in China. I mean, that's a lot of people. The other thing that stood out about this is that it made landfall in China at 9:50 Universal Standard Time, kind of like 9:05, like how they always pair 201 and 95. So it's like the Event 201 simulation was the day the military World Games began in Wuhan, China. The first military World Games were in the year 95 in Italy. You know, the Jesuits served the Vatican in Italy. It's like when Biden signed off on the $201 billion for Israel and Ukraine, again, where the war is in Ukraine, which started in a massive 201 ritual. The whole war in Ukraine's a big 201 thing, just like the war in Israel is. Again, where that war is in Ukraine is ancient Khazaria, which is where the ancestry is of the people who now live in Israel, at least the European ones. But again, Biden signed off on the $95 billion on the 201st day of the war. And remember, from Martin Luther pinning the 95 Theses to the Jesuits being created was 201 months later. It's kind of like Martin Luther King Jr. got assassinated on the 95th day of the year, and the U.S.'s first gun control legislation came 201 days later. So on the 201st day, this storm makes landfall at 9:50 Universal Time. Again, weather is a weapon. Very targeted, very exact, very precise. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, I educate about the same things over and over. You know, the kid who I did the interview with, who he really chopped up our interview into just like a few small segments, and he took out like the meat of everything. You know, he has that clip after he plays me talking about how, you know, going, hey, do you know about Event 201? He's like, no, I never heard of it. And I'm like, you should look into it. It happened the same day as the military World Games in Wuhan. I noticed his remark around that when he shows the clip is like, he's saying like, I wasn't sticking to the facts. It's like, what is he trying to allude to? That's not a fact. Event 201, the same day as the military. I hope we do another conversation with that guy, because looking back at the way he did that, I'm like, that seems kind of disingenuous. How is that not a fact? That's a fact everybody should know about. And if you don't find that curious, I'd say your critical thinking skills are completely shut off. But anyway, yeah. Let me pull up this article, because the storm started last night there on the 19th. It didn't just start today, but it got worse today. I want you to see how powerful this wind is. I mean, this is crazy. I've never seen wind do this to anybody. The strongest wind I've experienced in my own life being somewhere is 70-mile-per-hour wind, and I mean it's strong, and you get hit with debris, it hurts. Little rocks and crap blown in the air, but look at this. That lady doesn't want to stand up. Look at these people in the backgrounds getting knocked down. That kid just went flying. Ouch. People just blown across the ground. I mean, and again, I mean, that kind of wind does a lot of destruction to property. I'm sure all kinds of fences are blown over, shingles off roofs, all the bamboo houses over there. I mean, and again, is this Mother Nature or is this deliberate destruction of people's property? Is this straight up Art of War from Sun Tzu, a book that's credited to a military general that there's no proof ever existed, but there is the Jesuit priest, Father Amiot, who translated it in 72 and made it very popular. And speaking of 72, this 201st day of the year, the lesser date numerology today is 52, like flood. The full date numerology is 7 plus 20 plus 20 plus 25, which is 72. The city that's getting smashed in Korea today is Seoul, the massive city. Seoul on the 72 date. Again, Art of War translated in 1772. Jesuit order alone equates to 72. It's a Sunday. The sun moves 1 degree on the astrological wheel every 72 years. With regards to astrology, it's Cancer, which is a water sign. And there's all this crazy flooding across the world in the time of Cancer. I don't ever remember a July like this with just crazy water. I mean, July is typically one of the drier months of the year. This year, the year of the flood, 2025, it's just, destructive flooding everywhere. And again, with regards to Squid Game, this sequence of flooding really starting on July 4th and going crazy. Squid Game just puts the 74 at the beginning of every episode. And for anyone who wonders why it's called Squid Game, apparently Squid Game is a child's game that they play in Korea. Like, we know what red light, green light is. If you watch the show, there's a lot of childhood games they play that you recognize. But they got some Korean games that, for us in the States, that we probably never heard of, like Squid Game. And squid also reminds you of water, obviously. On the 201st day, this happening. This flash flooding in Kansas City, check this out. They say it happened at 3:30 local time. 3:30 again. It happened 33 days before the mayor's birthday. Notice he's 40 years old right now. Remember, Genesis equals 33. The flood equals 40. 40 days and 40 nights in Genesis. If you guys missed my work on Genesis and a lot of the flood rituals, the U.S.'s first cloud seeding experiment was November 14th, 46, with Bernard Vonnegut of General Electric. That was 78 years and change ago. Come November 14th, it'll be 79 years, but 78 years and change. And again, Genesis is 78. And in a number of these floods, 33's been in it, including this one in Kansas City. And again, July 17th can be written 17/7 like weather control. 17/7's been in a lot of these too. 4th of July equals 177. Right after Texas, it was Lincoln County in New Mexico that got wasted. I forget, there's been a couple other things too. But look at this. Kansas City, Missouri, established June 1st. From June 1st to July 17th, the day of the flooding, 46 days. Flooding, 46. Flash flood, 46. Another pattern we've seen. 46 days. So, okay. So, either all that's not a coincidence or it is, and, the normies, they'd rather just listen to what the authorities are telling them, and here's what the authorities are telling them. This is the summer of flooding across the U.S., and scientists know why. Once synonymous with leisure, again, this is CNN. I'm just reading CNN's story from today, the 201st day of the year. They saved this one for today, right? Once synonymous with leisure and reprieve, summer has increasingly become a season marked by anxiety and disruption. Fossil fuel, and keep in mind, summer's when people are usually out and about, right? Summer's when people get out, family vacation, just enjoying the sun, great days to be at the park. And again, this post Cooties 19 society, man, that is just the streets are empty most places, the parks are empty. You even go outside, a good chunk of the populace has masks on still. It's just they have changed the world, and it has been done through fear mongering, and I suppose even things like this. Fossil fuel pollution, alongside other compounding factors, has transformed these months into a time of mounting peril, punctuated by relentless heat waves, rampant wildfires, and catastrophic flooding. This summer, in particular, has been defined by a tragic surge in deadly flash floods across the United States, underscoring the escalating volatility of our warming world. By the way, I just got to tell you one other thing out here. My birthday is tomorrow, right? July 21st. I don't remember it ever raining on my birthday in my lifetime. I have a faint memory of when I was a child, I'd always go with my friends to a Montevilla Park in Portland where I grew up. I go swimming, always on my birthday. There might have been a year where it drizzled a little bit while we were in the pool. It might not have been my birthday, though. I do remember a day being in the pool with my friends and it raining. It might have. So if it rained on my birthday, it's when I was a real little kid, or it didn't. I honestly can't remember it ever raining on my birthday in the Pacific Northwest. The world's a big place. I'm sure it's rained on my birthday in parts of the world a million times. But I'm just saying, living in the Pacific Northwest, I don't ever remember it raining on my birthday. It's supposed to rain tomorrow up here, and I find it funny because I'm turning 42, right? Rain, so I'm gonna get rain on my birthday at age 42 for the first time that I can ever remember. But then also the reality is it's like I know it's not nature. Yesterday we had blue skies, and yesterday was one of those days where see the thing that drives me nuts about these people who are like, oh, conspiracy theorists. It's just like, do these people go outside? Because I wish I had like all those people next to me yesterday, and I'd just be pointing the sky and go, what the hell do you think's going on up there right now? We had all blue sky, and it was just one of those days where you just got line, like a gazillion lines in the sky from planes, and then just sure, for anyone who knows what it's like, our whole sky is just a sheet of gray today. It's just a sheet of gray. It's just one big ugly gray thing, and that's not nature. That's not nature. And I don't know what it is with all these people, and it is the majority of people. The majority of people are like, oh, there's conspiracy theory. It's just like, what do they think's going on a day like yesterday? The planes are lost? 1,000 planes are lost in the sky? Just a trail every which way all across the sky? And then it's just nothing but a gray sheet? God, it's just, I don't, like, you can't make sense of these people, but they think they're holier than thou. They think they have some more important opinion, and everybody else is, the brain-dead populace, the mind-controlled populace, the populace that has no eyes to see. The thing that's most infuriating about them is that they think they're holier than thou, and they're much more intelligent than the person who goes against the lies of the authority. And again, like I said, it's just, I don't know how these people live in this world, because I know this stuff's going on all across the nation. I've been in other places and witnessed the same thing. But how do you watch this and not realize that the sky has been changed by whatever the hell was sprayed up there? It's just... Anyway, this summer in particular has been defined by a tragic surge in deadly flash floods across the United States, underscoring the escalating volatility of our warming world. It's no accident this is the summer of flooding, climate scientists say, with 100-year to 1,000-year deluges happening nearly simultaneously in multiple states on multiple days. It's all just a big coincidence. Large parts of the U.S. have seen an unusually humid summer with record amounts of moisture in the air. Well, again, they have ways to attract more moisture in the air. That's what the whole thing was that was discovered and tested back in November of 1946. That's why 15 years later, JFK is at the United Nations talking about the future of weather control. It's why a year later, Lyndon Johnson is at Texas State University talking about the future of weather control and a weather satellite that's going to control the whole cloud layer of the world. And don't forget, you guys, again, weather satellite literally equals 249. And Lyndon Johnson, Texas guy who gave that speech in Texas, which gets devastated on the nation's 249th birthday in Kerrville, named after a guy, James Kerr, who was born on the 24th of September, 249. I mean, come on. Again, it says unusually humid summer when cold fronts and other yeah, I was going to say weapon systems. Yeah, it's probably actually more accurate. When cold fronts and other weather systems come along, and by the way, just with regards to weapon, don't forget all these rituals with 74 and weapon too over the years. Bizarre earthquakes on 7/4 with the epicenter on military bases. What happened this year on the 4th of July? When cold fronts and other weather systems come along, that moisture can get wrung out, squeezed like a water-letting sponge, yielding heavy and often localized downpours. And remember, they had a very specific one in Chicago that put people underwater at the Teddy Swims concert, which got rescheduled from the day leaving 201 days left in the year to 25 days later, if you missed my work on the Chicago flood. For much of the summer, the atmospheric conditions over the U.S. have funneled humid air north from the unusually warm Gulf and western Atlantic, including the Gulf Stream, UCLA climate researcher Daniel Swain told CNN. This has yielded unusually high levels of moisture at all levels of the atmosphere across the U.S. east of the Rockies, Swain said. It has led to record levels of what meteorologists call precipitable water, which is the amount of rain that would result from instantaneously extracting all the water in the air. This pattern has led to one flash flood after another. First and foremost, there was the devastating Texas flood that killed more than 130 people on the night of July 4th. Well, we covered that one to death. But flash flood events have been focused elsewhere as well. 3 people were killed in a flash flood related to torrential rains falling on a wildfire burn scar in Ruidoso, I can never say it right, Ruidoso, New Mexico on July 8th. We covered all that stood out about that one. Again, Lincoln County and more. The town had the 52 connection like flood. The date numerology was 40 like the flood, like 40 days and 40 nights. Just watching a lot of other people's content on the flooding, which mostly isn't adding any insight other than reading the mainstream news and showing the videos of the devastation. It seems like most people would rather just watch be blown away by the devastating floods than, learn any contrary information to what the mainstream's putting out. But, like I was watching this kid, he had almost 1 million views, and it was nice what he was doing. He was connected to some church group in Texas, and his videos about going to the church and loading up a whole bunch of candy because he's going to deliver candy to the flood victims. And, like I said, the video had like upwards of 1 million views and a gazillion likes. And I was like, okay, I mean, that's fine, but is candy really going to help anybody? You know what I mean? Is delivering candy the right... And again, is that like something more that people should be watching online and hitting the like button on than learning about actual information about the history of U.S. weather modification and weather control and weather warfare and what our government very well and likely is doing to us that needs to be stopped in its tracks? Because again, I mean, I've been calling out this weather warfare for a long time and educating about the same things over and over as it just continues to persist. And again, I've never had a video on weather warfare get 1 million views. Back in 2018 when I was covering the subject, they would get hundreds of thousands of views and quite a few likes, but passing out candy, I mean, nice gesture, but at the same time, it's like, candy. First of all, you're just going to be helping these Americans that already have diabetes and pre-diabetes get even worse. I don't know. Anyway, I watched that. I think like this is what's wrong with our society. We don't have common sense, man. We do not have common sense. Anyway, some major roads in Chicago were suddenly underwater when a 1,000-year rainfall event struck in early July. Remember, that was at the Teddy Swims concert. Swims, like swim in the water. And his concert was supposed to be June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year, the day that Stevie Ray Vaughan's Texas flood came out in history. Stevie Ray Vaughan, who died 27 years to the day of Harvey, which was on Lyndon Johnson's birthday anniversary. Again, think about that. The Texas flood guy, and he put out that album in 83, like Flood and Earth and Endliller 83. But he ends up dying on Lyndon Johnson's birthday. The Texas guy who talked about controlling the weather to control the world. And by the way, there's just been some active troll in the comments, and I can tell he's an ooh. But he keeps, just in every video, he keeps leaving the same long comment. Zach doesn't understand the occult. That's why he doesn't understand that Lyndon Johnson's comment is just a a metaphor for changing mindsets in the occult. That's what Lyndon Johnson meant by controlling the weather to control the world. It's like, dude, stop following me to every video and leaving the same stupid comment. How could you? Nobody could possibly think that's what he meant. He went into detail about a weather satellite to control the world's cloud layer. Nowhere was he talking about it being a metaphor for changing mindsets. And I get tired too of these trolls that fall everywhere, because you just see they are part of like a network and team that try to spread the same propaganda about me. Could I respond back that please stop leaving this dumb comment that's obviously not what he was talking to? He responds like, see, this is why no one likes you, because you're some know-it-all jerk that thinks you have all the answers. It's like, dude, how could you possibly think he's talking about a metaphor in light of what he actually said? He's talking about a weather satellite to control the world's cloud layer. Stop. But I know this is just a form of trolling. It's annoying that the only long comments that seem to stick in YouTube's new comment section, where they get rid of everyone's comments, are the long ones written by trolls. And you know that's not an accident either. Going on, it says, in portions of North Carolina, the remnants of Tropical Storm Chantal led to deadly heavy rain and flooding the same weekend. You know what? Let me just pull these up as we... let's recap them all real quick. Let's just go back over what we documented for these. And there's probably more, because a lot of these, I'm often in a hurry with limited time. So the town here that flooded in New Mexico, again, had the 52 connections. This is right after the 4th of July flooding, too. It had the 47 connections as well. 128, it goes with flash flooding and Independence Day. This was right after, again, the 4th of July flooding. New Mexico is the 47th state, home to Roswell in 47. They said the river rose 20 feet, and it was also a date with 25 numerology, flood 20 and 25. Town's on the 33rd parallel for that Bible Genesis connection. Oh yeah, that's right. This town was on fire the year before as well. From the day the fire was put out in the town to the day it flooded, 359 days, the 72nd prime. That fire was the South Fork fire, which equals 72 forwards and backwards, just like Jesuit order. And here we are, again, talking about with Seoul getting smashed today on the 72-date numerology. All right, so Chicago. Next up in that article was the Chicago flood. And again, this was... when I caught wind of this, I was watching the news, and they were showing people soaked. They're coming out of the Teddy Swims concert. And I'd never heard the name Teddy Swims before, so I had to look it up, because I couldn't tell when I heard it in real time if they said Sims or Swims. I thought I heard Swims, but I had to double check. I was like, yeah, it is Teddy Swims. And this flood happened the same day the New Mexico flood happened, but he was supposed to perform there on June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year. It's the I've Tried Everything But Therapy tour, which is 177. I forgot to put up in the New Mexico one about how Lincoln County is 177. And his concert was supposed to be on Friday the 13th, but yeah, the flood was 25 days later in 2025, the year of the flood. And his birthday is September 25th. It was September 25th, 1961, that JFK gave his speech talking to the United Nations, where a part of that speech is about the future of weather control. And flooding in Chicago have a lot in common. 82, 46, and 35. The flooding in China today is 35 days after Xi Jinping's birthday, the leader of the country. At the time, they said once in 500 years. Now, CNN today said once in 1,000 years. But yeah, it would be interesting to watch if storms do follow Teddy Swims on his tour. And again, I imagine he'll be around for a while since he's a newer guy on the scene. But okay, coming back to this article. From Chicago, it goes to the North Carolina flood. I remember this one was the one on the 191st day of the year on the 191-mile river, Cape Fear. And the military base there, Fort Bragg, is 107 years old. Like, the date can be written 10/7. And, yeah, again, 10/7, military, history of weather modification. Fort Bragg, established in 1918. By the way, 82nd Airborne Division. Again, we just saw how Chicago, Illinois, and flooding are 82. But, yeah, in use from 1918 to the present. That's 107 years. Again, Cape Fear River, 191 miles long, floods on the 191st day of the year. Big Jesuit number. Again, Society of Jesus, the formal title for the Jesuits. The flooding occurred exactly 33 weeks after the state's birthday. Again, like Bible, like Genesis. And the movie Cape Fear, from the anniversary of its release date, which, by the way, turned 33 years old last November. And you know what else is interesting? That movie's release date is one day before the anniversary of the first cloud seeding experiment in the U.S. with Bernard Vonnegut and General Electric. And just for the record, General Electric also has the 74, like the 4th of July. But yeah, 239 days from the anniversary of that movie, the 52nd prime. Flood, Earth, Enlil. And again, Lyndon Johnson, who gave that speech, his birthday is the 239th day of the year, August 27th. So, Fayetteville got smashed in that flood in the Carolinas, 52, where Fort Bragg is. Uh-oh, hold on real quick. I think I got Sweet Girl at the door. She's got one of those walkers. She likes to tour around. You want to come in here, Mama? Oh, here she comes. All right. Sweet Girl's incoming. Hey, Sweet Girl. Here she comes. Yeah, she's making a cameo. Did you want to come say hello? Did you want to come say hello? Mama doesn't want her on camera. We're almost done here, Mama. Don't worry. Okay, what was the next one? We got to wrap up here in a minute. Oh, the New York City flooding. Remember, they said that was the second greatest amount of rainfall in an hour in New York since Hurricane Ida, and those things were 201 weeks apart. Here, let's pull that up real quick. And New Jersey flooded that day 33 days from the governor's birthday. All right, Mama, hold on. I got you. Come here. Come here, big Mama. Let me see. All right, yeah. This just happened on July 14th. And that was a date with 46 numerology, like flash flood and flooding. Oh, we're almost done. Again, the first cloud seeding experiment was in New York 78 years ago. This thing happened 81 days from Bernard Vonnegut's death anniversary, the scientist, the brother of Kurt Vonnegut. King Kurt Vonnegut warned about this in his book Cat's Cradle, about how these scientists like his brother are doing crazy things. The flooding was exactly 46 weeks into Kathy Hochul's birthday. Again, 201 weeks and 5 days after the flooding of Ida. So, Genesis and New York have all that overlap. Holy Bible used as the playbook. Again, Genesis 7, all about the flooding. Here we are in the 7th month. 2.07 inches. Between 7 and 8. Between 7 and 8. I mean, come on, man. 78 years after the cloud seeding experiment. Between 7 and 8. And John Joseph Mriamia is who published Art of War. Art of War. Here we are on the 20/7 date, the 201st day of the nation's age. Remember, Neil Alden Armstrong equals 201, the moonwalker. Let's see. Let me see. Almost done here. What other one did they mention? New York, and then Kansas City. Kansas City, which we just covered. Yeah. Kansas City, 46 days after the city's birthday. At 3:30, 33 days from the mayor's birthday. All right. I think that's it for now, you guys. But yeah, that storm system that they were saying was going to impact New Orleans area, I haven't heard much about that, so hopefully that didn't happen. But it's Asia that got the worst of the 201st day of the year. And we're going to finish up, okay, Big Mama? Woo! We're going to finish up right now. Woo! Do we got a tire girl? All right, hold on. Let me say thank you to these people and we're out of here. Thank you very much, Ruth Sanchez. I appreciate the big 5. She said, as always, ultimate knowledge and truth. Thank you so much. Quentin sent over 10 from Canada. Appreciate that, Quentin. Leper Messiah with the continued generosity chipped in another 5. He said, my first message was not allowed. Let's get this bread up for Zach. I appreciate that again, Leper Messiah. Super generous Dale with another big 5. Thank you again, Dale. And Leslie with another big $6.99 from Canada. Thank you so much, Leslie. Uh, I got to wrap it up for the sake of sweet mama and sweet girl. And again, thank you to everyone who does hit the like and the share. Thank you to everyone who leaves a comment. And we'll see what else happens today. Hopefully nothing. If anything big does happen, I'll be sure to come back when I get a chance. All right, you guys have a great rest of your day. And stay dry, people of Asia. Till next time.